Hey guys, it's Phoenix Android Radios here. In this video, we're going to be looking at the 13-inch radio for the Toyota Tundra 2007 to 2013 vehicles. And this also works for the Toyota Sequoia from 2008 to 2022. You get a couple fitments here. If you have a heated seat function, you would use this bracket system, and this is the factory modules from the heated seats. But if you do not have heated seat function or cooled seat function, you have this bracket that will line up to this whole bracket that we provide. So this comes in through the back with some screw holes to screw on. And as you can see here, we have car lighter ports to fit the factory car lighter port. If your vehicle has the gear shifter on the steering wheel column, you will then need this portion to cover the gap space below this panel here. If your vehicle is a shifter from the floor, this piece is not needed. You can see here we have the AC control here for the fan speed on and off, as well as the changing position of the air, as well as these controls for the air conditioning, mode, map, and these functions here with knobs that you can turn as well as click. These buttons and knobs are also programmable. The single press will do their labeled function, but if you press and hold, you can program it to do a media function or an air conditioning function. The same goes with the knobs. If you press and hold, you can program them to do a different function for the media or air conditioning. This radio comes in one color option, the gloss black. And on the back, this is the Android 10 radio, comes in 3 different storage capacities: 4 gigs of RAM, 64 hard drive, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of hard drive, and 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of hard drive. On the back here, you have the radio antenna connector, the Wi-Fi antenna for 2.4 gigahertz band, as well as 5 gigahertz band, the screw-on for the GPS antenna, as well as a screw-on for the 4G antenna, a SIM card slot on the bottom here, the power connector here with the fuse, and these row of connectors. All connectors have a spot except for this one, which will not be used. You have the canvas connector on the board here on the back, as well as the air conditioning plug from your vehicle to connect to here. This is a 13-inch radio. The passenger indicator light here for the airbag. You have a built-in microphone here. The radio also supports the factory microphone on the vehicle. And you have a reset button here. If you press with a paperclip, the radio will reboot. These are the trim pieces that come with the radio. If you have heated or cooled seats, you'll get this set. If you don't, you'll have this set. The accessory cables are all here. No matter your year, anywhere from a Toyota Tundra 2007 to 2013 or a Toyota Sequoia from 2008 to 2022, all the radios will come with this harness set. This is the USB cable with the 2 USB ports. It's a 6-pin connector. And this connects to the back here. This can do both power and data, but this is not your built-in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. That one is the single USB cable with the 4 pins and the clip facing downwards right next to the 2 USB cable. This is your built-in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also get this harness with a lot of accessory RCAs and the secondary SIM card slot that has a long cable that you can route outside of the radio, so for accessibility. And this large plug will connect to the top here with the clip facing downward. Looking over the RCAs, we have several. 2 of them are labeled aux in left and aux in right. You also have a aux CVBS in. This is a video right and left sound, and you can see this information on the AUX app on the radio. So say you plug in a PlayStation or an Xbox, you can put the video and audio feed through here and see it on the radio auxiliary app. You have another RCA, a green one, along with a red and white that is labeled front out left, front out right, and subwoofer. This is if you're going to connect an aftermarket sound system. You can connect your RCAs through here, and this is where the signal will come out, giving your sound system the sound it needs, or your amplifier. You have a CVBS in, which is also a video in feed. If you put a video feed through here, you may be able to see it in one of the video apps on the radio. Do not mistake this for the factory or aftermarket backup camera. We have another harness for the camera. If you have a factory or aftermarket backup camera, use this harness. It is a 10-pin connector, and that connects to here with the clip facing downwards. This is your factory or aftermarket backup camera. Coming back to this harness, the last one is a microphone, and we provide an external microphone, but don't recommend using it unless the built-in microphone on the radio is not working, or your factory microphone is also not working. Then use the external microphone. You have the SIM card slot, the secondary one, as well as the primary one here. Use either one. Maybe use this one as it's more accessible. We have one last plug here, and this one which we will not be using. And we'll get to this later on in the video. You also get an adapter to support the factory USB port on the car. And this can connect to one of the 3 USB ports on the radio here. We recommend the secondary ones, which is USB 1 and USB 2. Connect this here, and this will connect to the vehicle plug to support the factory USB port. And that may also come out from one of these slots if your factory USB port shows up here. You have the SIM card antenna, which is circular, and that screws on to the last screw-on at the bottom here, labeled 4G. And you have the GPS antenna here. If you have a 2013 or lower vehicle, you will need this puck. If yours is 2013 or above, you will actually get an adapter for the factory GPS antenna. And the GPS antenna screws on to the middle one here, labeled GPS. Once we've looked at all the accessory cables, we have the external microphone that we do not need unless the factory or the built-in microphone on the radio is not working. We can now look at the main harnesses. For vehicles 2007 to 2013, we have this set of harness. It also comes with an OBD connector. If there is no RPM or door status reading, connect the OBD connector near your OBD port, which is the gas pedal area on the driver's side. This 2-pin connector comes off from this connector. You can see here, red and black wire. The 2-pin we will connect here. And the OBD connector we will route to the bottom of the car where the OBD port is, near the gas pedal. This harness has a lot of plugs, but not all plugs are used. One way to hook this up is looking at all the connectors and find the matching connector in the vehicle. Once found the matching connectors, the ones that do not have matching can leave behind and not use. The reason we say that is because there are a lot of identical RCAs. Depending on the trim model of your car from 2007 to 2013, you do not use all of them. You use only one set out of the multiple sets we have. So for example, we have aux-R and aux-L, aux-R and aux-L, another one, and another one. So we have a total of 4 sets of aux-L and aux-R, and all of these red and white RCAs go to their own respective connectors. For example, this one, another one would be this one, and another this one. So these 3 are all aux. So you don't have all these aux-R, aux-L connectors. Find the one that matches your vehicle and use that one out of the 4. Once you found that, you can choose the corresponding RCA for this connector that you use. The same will go for a camera. So if you have cam here, 1, 2, and the third cam, and the fourth cam. So same with the aux. We have 4 sets of RCAs for camera. First, find matching connectors in the vehicle. Once found, find the connector that has the camera RCA. And for the camera, we'll show you where that connection goes. But another thing to mention is if you have a rear monitor on the ceiling, you also need this connector that can output the video feed from the rear monitor. Be sure not to mix up this connector with another connector from the vehicle, which is the factory microphone connector. You can see that these two connectors are identical. One thing to note is if you have a rear monitor on the ceiling, the connector for that one has only 2 wires on that plug. That's one way to indicate that you are on the right connector for the rear monitor. If you do not have a rear monitor, then this portion of the video is not needed. All of these radios from 2007 all the way to 2022 come with this power adapter. And this power adapter connects to the main connectors of each power cable. And this just converts this large adapter into a smaller form factor that can connect to the back of our radio. So let's first connect this adapter and leave this connected to the radio, because no matter what, you do need this adapter. This small connector goes here. And coming off of it, there are 2 green wires with a 8-pin connector with the pin facing downward. That goes on the last connector on the back of the radio, connected here. And this connector, there is no connection for this. This RCA RR and RL, which comes from this adapter, is if you have an aftermarket sound system, this is where the rear left and right audio outs will go out of to give sound signal to your amplifier. This harness is for 2007 to 2013 Toyota Tundra and 2008 to 2013 Toyota Sequoia. We can connect the power connector to this adapter here, the canvas connection to the back board on the radio, and like we mentioned earlier, you will have several plugs that have RCAs on them labeled aux-R and aux-L and camera, but they all go to these plugs. Not all of these are used. Find the matching connector, and once you found the connector that is connected, you can follow each wire and see which one has your camera and which one has your aux-R. So in this example, we will just choose this connector, and this connector has a camera and it does not have an aux-R and aux-L, so we will have to find another one. For example, we can find this connector, and this connector has camera as well as aux-R and aux-L. So for example, we've connected these two. We found these 2 connections in the car. We have 2 camera RCAs. We are going to test both and see which one works. And we only have 1 aux-L and aux-R set. So the aux-L and aux-R set will go to aux-in and aux-in-L and aux-in-R on this top connector here. Connect this RCA. This will help support the factory aux jack on your vehicle if you have a 3.5 jack or an auxiliary jack on your vehicle. And like we mentioned earlier, we have the we have 1 camera RCA and another camera RCA. What we will do here is we'll go in reverse and connect these 2 RCAs and see which one has our video feed. And the camera goes to this connector, 10-pin connector with a single female RCA. And as we go in reverse, we'll connect the RCA and see which one has our video feed. Whichever has, we will keep that connection. So for example, say this one has it, and it's coming from the connector with the aux-R and aux-L. We will keep this connector. We'll keep this plugged into the car, but we just will not use the camera RCA because we have the video feed from the other connector that we found a matching one to. With the extra connectors out of the way from the other aux and Rs, from the other auxiliary and the other camera RCAs, we have these two connectors, this one as well as this one. You will only be using one of them, find the matching one, and this gets you your vehicle radio to come on. So find whichever one. This is for 2007 to 2013 vehicles. And you have this connector, find a matching connector there, as well as this one for the radio antenna. And this portion goes to the top here. Once you've found matching connectors and you've connected the auxiliary left and right RCA, as well as the cam RCA, you can also connect the air conditioning plug here, and that will get your air conditioning controls. From there, you can turn on the vehicle and test the air conditioning, the sound, and the backup camera. This is for vehicles 2007 to 2013. Let's remove the harness. We'll remove the canvas box. We are going to keep the adapter and just remove the power cord and disconnect the antenna here. Disconnect the camera as well as the auxiliary left and right. That is the power cord for 2007 to 2013. For 2014 to 2019, you have this harness. You also get an extra GPS antenna adapter to support the factory GPS on the radio, to support the factory GPS on the vehicle. Like we mentioned before, for 2007 to 2013, you are required to use the aftermarket antenna, but if you have your own antenna, you can connect your own. But for 2014 and above, you also get an adapter. We can unscrew this here, screw this on, and connect the factory antenna plug in the vehicle. We've seen for this car, usually the plug is white. All right. The 2014 to 2019 harness doesn't have too many plugs. Find the matching connectors for them. We can look here. We also have the auxiliary left and right, as well as the RCA male for the factory backup camera, and the canvas connection on the back of the board. So let's connect this to the small adapter here. Connect the canvas connection on the back of the board. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connectors. The radio antenna connects to the vehicle. This portion connects to the top here. This is the sound connector. Find a matching connector in the car. We have the factory backup camera connector. Find a matching connector for this. And the male RCA video feed will go to this plug right here at the top, 10-pin connector with a single female RCA. Connect that RCA. We have this connector here, which you would find a matching connector again with auxiliary left and right. This is to support the factory 3.5 jack or the factory auxiliary jack on the car. aux-R and aux-L will connect to auxiliary in L and auxiliary in R. And the last connector is here. Find a matching connector here to the vehicle. This is for the radio to come on. So if the radio doesn't come on, check this connector and check the needles on the pin, mainly the yellow and the red. And you can connect the AC connector at the bottom here, turn on the vehicle, check if the factory backup camera works or not, and if the radio has sound, and if the air conditioning is functional. This is 2014 to 2019. We can now disconnect We can now disconnect the harness by removing the canvas control box here, camera RCA, auxiliary left and right, and we can remove the power cable from the adapter. From here, we also have the radio antenna to disconnect. And this is the 2014 to 2019 harness for Toyota Sequoia. The last harness is for Toyota Sequoias 2020 and above, all the way to 2022. Again, not too many connectors. What we'll do here is we'll connect the canvas connector, the power connector, connect to the adapter. And as earlier, we need to connect the camera, which is this male RCA here. This male RCA here that comes from this plug, find the matching connector in the car. Connect the male RCA to the single female RCA here. The radio antenna, find the matching connector, connect it to the top here. If you have a factory GPS antenna, you can connect the adapter or use the aftermarket antenna we provided. And this is the sound connector, find this in the car. And the last one is the power connector with a thick yellow wire. If the radio does not turn on, you also have an identical connector in the vehicle. If you mismatch this connector, the vehicle may not get power because the wire is not corresponded to the correct plug. So check this plug specifically for 2020 and above. You may have an identical connector for this plug here. Connect the air conditioning plug, and from here we also have the auxiliary left and right. Do not forget that. That is your sound for the factory aux jack. If your vehicle has something like this with a USB port or an auxiliary jack on the car. So aux in and aux L will connect to the aux in R and aux in L. That's a quick look at the connections for vehicles 2007 to 2022, specifically Toyota Tundra 2007 to 2013 and Toyota Sequoia 2008 to 2022. If you guys have any questions or concerns, give us a call or send us an email. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.